Hey, and welcome to today's video. So today we're going to talk all things hazmat. So the definition of hazmat. So basically it's a hazardous material. So it's anything that poses a risk to health and safety of property or the environment. You know, it's flammable stuff or corrosive stuff or, you know, anything that's bleach or, you know, hair dye or any of that sort of stuff. Anything that potentially causes a problem. And when Amazon do a review of hazmat, if it's a brand new product, the review takes about 3 days. But if it's a review of a current product, it can take up to 30 days. So it can take Amazon a long time to do a review of a hazmat product. And that can be really, really frustrating. But Amazon have been fined $1.4 million since 2013 for breaches of hazmat regulations. And one incident led to the injury of several UPS workers who handled the Amazon product, the package that was hazmat. So that's why Amazon are so particular about hazmat, because it's costing them a lot of money in fines because they weren't doing everything they should have been doing. So that's why they're so particular. But it can be really, really random. So you might find that one product comes in 3 different sizes and only one is restricted for hazmat and the other 2 are fine. You might find sometimes that plastic games get flagged for hazmat. And usually they'll come out the other side of the hazmat review, not hazmat. But sometimes Amazon are a bit weird. You know, colouring pens can end up being classed as hazmat for a while. I've even seen leotards classed as hazmat. So it can be really, really random. So if there's a product that you particularly want to sell and it's coming up at hazmat, it's worth checking back at a later stage to see if the deal's still there, if the product has come out of the review, because it may well be that that's the case. Or there's something you can do about it as well. So we're going to talk about that in a moment. So I'm not going to read through all of these, but this is basically from all the different categories, all the things that are hazmat. Now, you've got all sorts of things that you'd expect, but you've got other things that you wouldn't necessarily expect, like airbags or, you know, stuff like that, hats and you know, other weird things, songbooks, because they've got batteries in them. You know, it's all these weird and wonderful sorts of things, you know, grills and stuff. You know, it can be fairly random in the list of things that it can be. So what if your product is hazmat? Okay, so batteries are products containing or shipped with batteries, and finished cosmetics, it's a makeup that you can buy completed and finished, have certain physical or chemical properties that may class them as dangerous goods, but are exempt from an SDS requirement. Now, an SDS is a safety data sheet, and you don't want to go there for arbitrage. You really don't, because it's hugely complicated, really time consuming. You might want to do something like that if you're doing a private label product, but for arbitrage, you know, you wouldn't want to do that for arbitrage. It would just be crazy. But if exempt and not provided by someone else previously, you can provide an exemption sheet. So if you want to sell a product with a toy that's got a battery in it, if it is coming up as hazmat, you can provide an exemption sheet, which should mean that it goes through okay. But you only want to do that for products like the batteries or for makeup. You can't put an exemption sheet in for something that needs a safety data sheet. They're the only 2 areas that are exempt from a safety data sheet, just batteries and cosmetics, nothing else. So if it's hazmat and it's one of those, then it's worth looking into further. If it's hazmat and it's not one of those, you know, we'll talk about that in a second, but it's probably not worth going any further. So an exemption sheet you can find here. Now, I've put these links in the email that this video came with, so that the links are easy to see. And then if you look on the right-hand column, you'll see the 2 different exemption sheets. So you've got batteries and you've got cosmetics. If you're in the US, obviously you want to choose the US ones. So, you know, you can choose which ones work for you and then complete it. So they're quite simple to do. But as I say, what if your product isn't a battery or a finished cosmetic? but is on the hazmat list. Okay, so for arbitrage, you've got the option of fulfilling it merchant fulfilled. You could do that. You know, if you can do that, that is an option. You've got the safety data sheet, but as I say, you don't really want to go there for arbitrage. I haven't included a picture of a safety data sheet because honestly, would it be about 15 slides long? It's hugely complicated and really long, but I've included that link in the email as well. So if you want to click through and have a look at an example safety data sheet, you can do that there. You could potentially sell your product on eBay, but the best thing to do probably is just find another product. You know, there's enough deals out there, there's enough products out there to sell without making it overcomplicated. And I'd certainly suggest when you first start out, as you're a beginner, I would definitely suggest you find another product, because all of this just complicates things, which you don't need to do. There's enough deals out there without you having to complicate things. But if it is a battery or if it's a finished cosmetic, then you can put in an exemption sheet. And that's the most I think you should do. They're available there. They're quite straightforward to fill out. So you can just go through and submit one of those, and then Amazon will come back and say, okay, the product's not hazmat. We've lifted the restriction. Hopefully that's what they'd say. But as I say, as a brand new seller, to be honest with you, anything that's hazmat, I would just stay away from it. Anyway, you're unlikely to find anything hazmat in bookable VA deals, because online arbitrage deals, because we don't include hazmat things. So if you're going back over some older products, things may change. So it's always worth keeping an eye on that, because you know, some all of a sudden a product can get into hazmat that wasn't before. So we may list it. You know, it might drop into your deal feed one day, and then tomorrow it's hazmat, because it changed in that time. But as a new arbitrage seller, if it's hazmat, honestly, just stay away from it. It's not worth it until you've got some experience and you know a bit more about the whole subject. So that's what I suggest you do. Keep the links for the exemption sheets, because when you've got a little bit more experience, you may want to put in an exemption sheet for a hazmat item. So hang on to those, and you may find them helpful in the future. So that's the end of this module. I hope you're finding this course helpful, and we're covering things that you wouldn't necessarily have found anywhere else. Have a lovely day, and I'll talk to you in another video.